We're back now with our GMA cover story by exclusive interview with former NFL star Chris Johnson. The three-time Pro Bowler had more than 11,000 yards, 11,000 total offensive yards in his career, and still holds the record for the most yards from scrimmage in a season. But now he's in a fight for his life off the field.
Johnson, touchdown!
Chris Johnson, one of the fastest running backs in NFL history, shattered records throughout his career.
80-yard run.
So fast, he earned the nickname CJ2K.
Chris Johnson is going to have a Titans touchdown.
He retired in 2017 and has been out of the spotlight. But today, he is sharing something deeply personal. You've chosen to share some personal news today, and it takes a tremendous amount of courage to share it. What would you like for people to know?
First, I want people to know that I'm still me. ALS has changed what my body can do, but it hasn't changed who I am.
In 2025, at the age of 39, Johnson was diagnosed with ALS, the disease progressing so rapidly that he now uses his eyes to trigger a speech-generating device to speak. Why do you want to share this now?
Because if sharing my story helps even one person get diagnosed sooner, inspires more research, or gives another family hope, then it's worth it.
Johnson says he was in the prime of his life, working out daily and running errands with his 4 children until ALS changed everything. Let's go back to last year. When did you notice that something was off?
I first noticed weakness in my right hand. At first, it was little things like my grip didn't feel right, and I wasn't as strong as I've always been.
His wife, Brittany, thought it was something much simpler. Brittany, what did you think it was at the time?
I thought because...
The crazy thing about this is, obviously he's an NFL player. As you heard, he's got a great career, but NFL still is undefeated. And what do I mean by that? It's one of the most gruesome, painful sports to be a part of. And it's crazy. He's been out of the league for about 9 years. And like he said, he's just gone out of the spotlight. He's doing everyday things like a dad. Sounds like a good dad. And all of a sudden he's hit with this. This is deep on so many different levels. Is it something related to NFL and just the continuous hits he probably took? Maybe, maybe not, right? Obviously, as more years go on, as more research is done into ALS and all that kind of stuff, they'll be able to create more, correlation between links between where this stuff happens. I don't know what's the result, the cause anyway, basically. But it's sad, man. And this just reminds me of what the Bible says about the fallen world we live in, right? These sorts of diseases, these sorts of illnesses and ailments, they're all a result of sin being in the atmosphere. And I'm not saying he did something specifically. That's not the point. I'm just we live in a fallen world, and this is why stuff like this happens. This is why stuff like this can even happen to somebody who is living righteously, someone who is living in a good way. It's just the nature of sin. And this is one of the things as Christians we get to look forward to just in heaven, where all sickness is gone, all disease is gone, everything painful, all tears will be wiped away, the Bible says. And it's such a great thing. I feel sorry for his family, I feel sorry for his wife, but at the same time, I always say, and I always do this myself in my life as much as possible, what is the positive inside of the negative scenario? And one of the things I thought about, which I think is just so powerful and deep, is better that his body is failing him and not his mind, than his mind failing him and he has his body. Because imagine the complete opposite. Imagine he was basically just a vegetable and his body could still function, but there was nothing there. There was no consciousness. That would be so much more worse. I thank the Lord that he still even has his mental capacity. He can still think, he can still reason. He's still there, because that can help him. And we live in a day and age today where there's all this technology, right? He has the ability to still communicate with his wife, who no doubt this is terrible for her in the season. His children, he can still communicate. He may communicate slower, but as more and more time goes on, as more and more technology is created, it creates opportunities for painful situations like this to hurt less and less. Guys, you have to continue to pray and to thank God, right? Every day we wake up, that's a reason to thank God. Every day you can function, your mind is working, more so your body is working as well. Thank God, because you never know what's going to happen. We only have today that's promised. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. he was living his life like a normal individual. Let me take that back. They said he was working out every single day, which for a lot of athletes who are professional as well, you hear this a lot, right? They retire and they continue to keep their routine or similar in line to their routine because it helps them adjust to everyday life. So he's actively working out every single day. Who knows? And this is, as I'm just saying this, one of the things that I'm mindful of as well is stuff like potential PEDs, right? This is obviously rife throughout sports. We know this. Current athletes, ex-athletes, people have continued to speak about this. This is another thing for you to question, right? I don't know if he ever did any of that kind of stuff. I'm not accusing him of anything like that, but it just came to mind because at the end of the day, there are athletes today we hear about, especially in the bodybuilding world, right? Loads of athletes who take some crazy cocktail of drugs and then their life is shortened, right? This is something you have to factor in now. If you are an athlete, if you are in the process of becoming a professional athlete and you are being presented, right? I did another video recently about the NBA players who have been arrested for allegedly throwing and fixing games. These are things you need to think about today. Surround yourself with wise people who aren't going to just keep you focused on the money. Because what situations like this remind you of, there's more to life than money. You don't think that Chris Johnson, you don't think his wife, you don't think anyone around him who has the means wouldn't give up so much of their money, if not all of their money, for him to be healthy again? Of course they would. These are the situations that help you realize that there's more to life than money. So again, I'm never going to tell you don't pursue money. I'm never going to tell you money is bad. No, you can pursue money righteously, or you can let money pursue you, is the better way to say. When you walk righteously and wisely, money will be gravitating towards you. That's what the Bible says, right? More on that in another day, right? But think about it like this. When you're pursuing money, when you're pursuing wealth, do it the right way. Do it the wise way. So when the money comes and when the things come, you don't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to battle anything internally like, oh, you know what? I did this thing or I did that thing. No. You can have a clean conscience and just know that whatever happens, happens. God is going to be by your side, but it's not because you did anything wrong in order for these things to happen. I'll say this as well before we continue and hear what his wife has to say. There's a famous story in the Bible, which I love so much, is when the disciples see this guy. He's been in a difficult, it's in John chapter 9, right? And they ask, who sinned? Who sinned that this happened? Was it him or was his parents? And Jesus says, his parents didn't sin. He didn't sin. It's another example which just showcases that we're in a world which is infested with sin. And this is why stuff like this happens. And Jesus says, this has happened so that the works of God can be made manifest, right? We don't know why this happened. He could have done something wrong. He may have not done something wrong, but that's not the point. The point is that regardless of what we go through in life, we always have to remember that God is going to be glorified. And even in situations like this, he could have given up. He could have said, you know what, it's a wrap, I'm done. He's continuing to fight. He's continuing to do things. Why? Because he's, again, like he said, he's showing, he's an example right now to people who should get tested earlier. But also, more importantly, the lesson I can see here is showcase what it looks like to fight, even when things are difficult. Let's see what his wife has to say.
Of football and, you know, his career, that it had to be something with that, maybe the pinched nerve or something along those lines, but never ALS.
And what did doctors tell you initially about your condition?
We hoped it was something else, but after thorough testing, they finally came down with a diagnosis of ALS. They told us about a medication that might extend life by a few months. Then they told us to get our affairs in order. It was hard hearing that, but after watching Good Morning America and seeing Dr. Merritt with Eric Dane, we reached out to her. She was willing to think more creatively, offering experimental treatments that might help and advance research.
Dr. Merritt.
Now, this is crazy on so many different levels. For those of you who don't know, I don't know loads about ALS, but I know that they say it's about a 2 to 4 year life expectancy once you've been diagnosed. Obviously, he's been diagnosed and they've spoken about different potential medications and stuff like that. And obviously, he's now talking about this doctor who has experience or is willing to go into untested, like, well, I'm not going to say untested, creative ways which can potentially spread out life, give more life, right? They're not guaranteed, And in this scenario, most likely most people will say, you know what, yeah, let me be the guinea pig. Let me put myself forward for these testings. If I can live for another 6 months, another year, etc. Guys, again, this just shows you how important it is to value the life that you have. Because now we're seeing someone in a scenario, and this happens every single day as well, right? It's only because he's more famous why it's being broadcast on the news. But he's willing to fight for an extra 6 months. We can find ourselves in situations in life where we're so flippant with 6 months. Yeah, I'm going to do this in 6 months. I'm going to do this next year. I'm going to, like, today, guys, today. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. James says it in his epistle so nicely. He says, listen, don't say, I'm going to do this next year. I'm going to stay in this place until next year and I'm going to buy and sell, etc. Say the Lord wills. The Lord wills. That's all you need to say. Live your life today. Like, it's valuable because it is. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, guys. I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully you've got the lesson. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, don't forget to react righteously. God bless, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.